Welcome to Three Questions With, a program by the Latino News Network produced in collaboration with CAN TV. Three Questions With is a public affairs program elevating the voices and visibility of matters most important to Hispanic Latinos by speaking with community and industry thought leaders on the social determinants of health and democracy. I'm Hugo, publisher of LNN, and your host. According to the U.S. Census, by 2030, Hispanic youth and other youth of color will make up more than half of the nation's labor force. The new face of our country's workforce needs the support that creates pathways towards opportunity. Mentors play an essential role by stepping up in their communities to support teens in helping them achieve personal, academic, and professional goals. Meeting the moment is Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago. Jennifer Gutierrez, brand ambassador with Big Brothers Big Sisters, is here to talk to us about the organization's mission of creating and supporting one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. Jennifer, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the work of Big Brothers Big Sisters, their programs that ranges from children to youth.
Yeah, so Big Brothers Big Sisters, we are a one-on-one mentoring organization. So essentially what we do is we take adult volunteers from the ages of 18 in high school completion and older to be mentors. And we also take the youth from 7 years of age and older to, want to have a companionship, mentorship relationship. So we take the both. We match based on compatibility, so we do our homework on our end to ensure that the mentors and the children have things in common when we put them together and essentially give them that extra support in their life and that extra mentor to be there for them.
Are there specific programs that Big Brothers Big Sisters create in order to break the ice between the mentors and mentees?
So we do have two programs available for them to be a part of. We have our one-on-one community-based program where it's just the mentor and the child. They get to go out within the neighborhood in the city, do activities, enjoy some time together. We also have something called our site-based program where they meet at a specific location, more kind of like an after-school program. It's still one-on-one mentoring. It's just the mentor and the child for some specific time, but then they participate in activities that are facilitated for them in a group setting.
Now, for folks that are not familiar with the process, for an adult that wants to sign up to be a mentor, mm-hmm. or a parent that wants to sign up their children as a mentee, what's the process like?
Yeah, so they would go onto our website, bbbs.shy.org, and fill out an inquiry form. Then that comes into our system. We would give them a call or an email to give them more information about our programs. If they're still undecisive and they still have questions, they can schedule a call with someone, talk to us over the phone so we can in-depth give them more information in regards to the programs and what their options are. Once those are figured out, then they fill out either an application or an intake form over the phone. And then we start doing the registration process. So some things that they would have to complete, some tasks that need to get completed by both mentors and families, and then some interviews that get taken place so we can get to know everyone to the best of our abilities.
What's some of the feedback that you can share with us from the mentor's perspective and mentee's perspective? I mentor young people, and
mm-hmm.
it's been very fulfilling for me to see to be a little piece of their the road to success. So I often meet someone at one stage, mm-hmm. and then see them grow up and just see how they flourish. What kind of feedback can you share with us?
Yeah, we've had really great stories where it's not just about that one time, because we do request for a 1-year minimum commitment from the mentors to these children. But we do get to hear these stories where they stay in each other's lives way past the 1-year mark. They continue the relationship after the 1 year. They sometimes even continue to be in each other's lives because at that point they're integrated into the families, each other's families. They get invested in what they're doing after school and their activities. They show up sometimes to graduations. They get to be invited as well. And once the kids grow up, sometimes they're still in each other's lives and they're getting their every day is like, what's going on? How's your family growing? How are you doing? And college. And if they still need advice after that, beyond that, they're still there and they're still forming that relationship.
That's great. You know, in mentors and mentees, it's a personal relationship. And like any relationship, it's based on trust. Some of that trust building has to do with similarities, right? Someone
Correct.
who has your same background, upbringing. Now, am I correct in thinking that there's a need for more Latino mentors with Big Brothers Big Sisters?
You are correct. Yes, we do need more Latino men specifically. We have a lot of youth in our wait list. And so part of it is because we do need these men to step up and be there for these boys as well. We match based on gender identity. And so sometimes we are missing those men to be there, but also our Latino men. I know it's difficult as Latinos that we are stuck in the mindset of like we have to work and we have to provide for our family. So sometimes it's hard to be in a mindset to help someone else. But you know, we welcome everyone to be there to help someone else, to give them that extra support. And no little time is, you know, too small. It's just a few minutes a day can make a big impact and a big change in a child's life.
And part of that building of trust has to do with language. Y hemos hablado que nosotros, parte de nuestro lenguaje es el español. How important is language in making those connections?
Oh, muy importante, especialmente porque estos mentores no es nada más están ahí para los niños, sino también para la familia. So hay una conexión que se tiene que hacer para poder ayudar a un niño apropiadamente, poder tener esa conexión con los padres, si la abuelita vive en casa, poder hablar con la abuelita y tener ese nivel donde se puedan entender de qué es lo que están comunicando claramente, cuáles son las necesidades en la familia, cuáles son las necesidades para los niños. So en ese sentido es muy importante tener a estos latinos que nos podemos entender culturalmente, que podemos tener los mismos valores, las mismas raíces, las mismas creencias y así poder ayudar y dar ese extra soporte a los niños para decirles, te entiendo y estoy aquí.
Absolutamente. So, you know, understanding one another, understanding the culture, the background you mentioned, your grandmother, our grandmothers.
Yeah.
It's so important for those connections. Now, the last couple of months, and even more so the last couple of weeks, we've seen an influx of migrants coming to Chicago, men, women, children, families. In regards to Big Brothers Big Sisters, is there any assistance that is available to these new families that are signing up their kids for school, as well as looking for this type of mentoring that Big Brothers Big Sisters offers?
Yes, so there are schools that reach out to us personally, directly to Big Brothers Big Sisters, and they have said, hey, we are having an influx of these students that are signing up into our school. They need the extra support. They need someone else to be there for them. Not only someone that can connect in their language, but that can be a step into getting into other things and getting other resources in the English language. Because there is now that barrier of language with them, right, where there's a lack of. And so a mentor is not only just for them to guide them and give them that extra support, but to also help them in finding resources.
You're watching 3 Questions with Jennifer Gutierrez, brand ambassador with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago. When we come back, Jennifer is going to get personal with us and talk to us how her children help shape the work that she does in creating positive impact for young people.
I'm Jamira Alexander, inviting you to join me for Public Narrative, A Word, with my very special guests, Joseph Williams of Mr. Dad's Fathers Club and Jerema Gorham of Burst Into Books. Join the conversation Thursday, November 2nd at 7 p.m. on CanTV Cable Channel 19 and streaming on cantv.org and the CanTV Plus app. Experience the power of community television.
You're watching 3 Questions with Jennifer Gutierrez, brand ambassador with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Chicago. We've been talking about how the organization brings mentors and mentees together and the need for Latino mentors, but now we're going to learn more about you. Talk to us about being born in Tijuana, Mexico, growing up in Cicero, and how your 4 children shape the work that you do in building positive impact.
Yeah, so I was born in Tijuana, Mexico. Came to the United States, specifically straight into Chicago, very, very little as an infant. So I grew up in Cicero for the recollection of my childhood up until now. Went to elementary school, middle school, high school, all in Cicero. Moved momentarily, had my family, had 4 beautiful children, and as soon as I became a mother, I realized that it's important to have people backing you up, in your corner, part of your village, to not only help you with your kids, right, but also be there for you, giving you that extra support as a person. Am I doing things right? Is there anything I'm missing? Is there someone that I can possibly talk to that maybe I didn't think of before? Do I have all the resources that I can potentially have for my kids to give them the best outlooks in life and the best opportunities? So all of that kind of made me think of, being a mom in a different perspective, being in a family in a different perspective. Like, there is so many people that don't have those resources. So it gave me the want to be involved. And so I got involved in the kids' school, and, part of the LSC Council, I helped put together the fundraising team for the school, the Friends Up for their school. And now into the work that I do, I can honestly, wholeheartedly say that I do believe in our mission, that it takes a village to help support and raise these children. It is very important to have those people in their corner, in their lives, helping them with positive changes, with the information that they need, with the resources that they might otherwise not have. But not only that, also giving the families the assurance and the sense of, there is someone else out there invested in my kid's future. There is someone else out there that, if for one reason or another my kids don't want to talk to me, they have a safe space, someone else to talk to. And I think all of that is very important, and having my own kids definitely helped me see that and wholeheartedly believe in that mission for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
We are both parents and have children in the public school system. My kids are much older. My son's a senior at Westinghouse in Garfield.
Mm-hmm.
Your children are a little bit younger. Now, as far as the support, and I definitely commend public school system in Chicago. We get a lot of support.
Yeah.
But there's always improvements to be made. And we talked a lot about the importance of that cultural connection. The majority of students in the public school system in Chicago are Latino. Many of them, English isn't their first language. Anything that you've observed as a parent that could improve to help kids and help parents also?
As far as the system goes?
Sure, or some of the resources that you mentioned that are so important in building these villages.
Really, it's the community engagement. Not only community engagement, but also having Latinos with different kinds of backgrounds and different kinds of languages that they speak, so that they can help fill those gaps in. If these parents don't know where else to ask for resources and how to advocate for themselves, then at least they have the mentor to ask, and then maybe the mentor can help them or guide them, or even ask for them, where can I find these resources for the families that I'm helping? So that's what I think. That's how I feel like it is important.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we talked a lot about the importance of representation and making those connections, and certainly there's room for improvement for that type of representation. Whether we were talking about teachers, bilingual teachers, and certainly principals and positions in higher in education that have power and influence to affect change. Yes. Now let's talk about growing up Latino, and we talked about culture being very important, and you talked about having that support system as a parent. Tell me about in growing up, and I think you said you have siblings. I don't know how many.
I do.
But tell me about that household. And I've mentioned to you some of my role models certainly are women. I come from a matriarchal family. What can you share with us about your upbringing that helped shape you as a parent and the work that you do with Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Yeah, so I do have a sibling. I have one brother. He is younger than me. We're a few years apart. And I also started school in bilingual classes. I didn't go right into your English classes into kindergarten. I didn't transition into ESL until I was in 3rd grade. So being in that space of, like, darn, what do I say? How do I communicate what I'm thinking in Spanish into English, whether it makes sense? But then growing up and having to fill that interpreter role to my family sometimes, like, what do I say? How do I say this? Can you help me read a letter? Can you, sometimes you need help with homework, but I can't help you because now there's that language barrier. So all of those little things that I sometimes went without made me realize that there is a need, and it wasn't just in my household or in my upbringing, but it still happens to this day. Like you mentioned, these immigrant children that are coming in, they don't have that either. They don't have that support. There's that language barrier there. So all of those things is what really enforces my beliefs into it takes a village.
Yeah, and language is so important. Like you, I remember being 9, 10 years old and going with my mother grocery shopping, to the post office, to the doctors, and being the interpreter. I often didn't understand what I was interpreting, but I did understand I was connecting two people that were separated by language.
Yes.
And now as a parent, you're right. When I grew up and I needed help with my homework, there were certain limitations because of language that, of course, with my kids, there wasn't, although I will admit some of the math that my kids brought me. I said, no matter English or in Espanol, I'm not the one to help you.
It's not there, right?
Not there. Jennifer, thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
You've been watching 3 Questions with Jennifer Gutierrez, brand ambassador with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago. When we come back, la última palabra, the last word on mentoring.
Joining me on the next episode of Every Day is a Yay is Saloni.
If you don't believe in yourself, you're robbing the world of what you can achieve. That really spoke to me and made me feel like if I don't believe in my own power, then I'm actually doing everyone else a disservice.
Join the conversation Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on CanTV, cable channel 19, and streaming on cantv.org and the CanTV Plus app. Experience the power of community television.
And now, la última palabra, the last word on mentoring. I grew up in northern New Jersey, just outside New York City, and I remember taking many trips to Central Park with my parents. Central Park can be like a 3-ring circus in the summer. There are plenty of street performers that amaze and entertain. On one such trek, I remember walking with my parents and hearing wonderful music in the distance. And as we neared the epicenter of the music, I began to get frustrated. I was 7 or 8 years old at the time, and as such, much shorter than the people who were surrounding the performers. And just before I started to complain, my father, this 6'2" man, lifted me up and placed me on his shoulders. Now I could see better than anyone else and could enjoy the music makers and dancers. That's what mentors and sponsors do for us. They lift us up on their figurative shoulders in order for us to see farther and reach higher than we ever could on our own 2 feet. If I have had any success in my 30-plus year career, it has been because of the many selfless, generous mentors and sponsors I have been blessed to have. I could never say I am a success just because of me, because of the blood, sweat, and tears that I have invested. While it is true that I put in the work, there has always been someone who has helped me along the way. But not everyone can be our mentor or sponsor, just like not everyone can be our friend or significant other. It is a personal relationship built on trust. So be choosy about who you approach and understand the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. Mentors work behind the scenes, providing us with insights and advice about the work we do, the decisions we make, and so on. I have sidestepped plenty of career potholes thanks to mentors. Sponsors, on the other hand, are public. They're the people who are talking us up when we are not in the room. They're the ones making introductions to people and opportunities. Most of the jobs I have had come from sponsors opening doors I did not have access to. Now, I have more mentees than mentors. As you could see by my white beard, I've been around the block a few times. So whether it is through a renowned organization like Big Brothers Big Sisters, or at your place of work or your neighborhood, don't miss an opportunity to be a mentor or mentee. It's a transformative experience. And as my abuelita used to tell me, you only take with you what you have given. And that does it for this edition of Three Questions With, a collaboration by Illinois Latino News and CAN TV. LNN is dedicated to best serving Hispanic Latinos with local multimedia news and information websites across the U.S., including Illinois Latino News, a statewide community-focused initiative. I invite you to look us up on our websites and chat with us via social media. Tell us what you think about the topics we talked about today, and please send me suggestions about what you think we should talk about in the future. Because at the Latino News Network, you're more than just our audience, you are our contributors. I'm Hugo Balta. Thank you all for watching.
Hello, Chicago. I'm Anna Ninoyu, Chair of CAN TV's Board of Directors. Joining me for the first and series of CAN Conversation are my partners and colleagues, George Rovello, Vice Chair, CAN TV's Board of Directors, and Darius Hillman, CAN TV's Executive Director. We decided to film this series of Kitchen Table Talks as one of the many ways we're demonstrating CAN TV's shared commitment to openness and transparency. During times of significant change, there is really no such thing as too much conversation. In the years since Darius joined the organization, CAN TV has experienced significant and intentional change. With change, however, there can be a feeling of disorientation, even fear that the world, more specifically, CAN TV becoming something other than what it was originally founded to achieve. We want to use these conversations to not only remind ourselves why the changes underway were needed for the long-term sustainability of CAN, and share how the evolution happening at CAN TV strengthens our commitment to our original mission, a mission that remains unchanged.
Over the past 10 years, a number of key external forces have impacted CAN TV, necessitating the re-examining of how the organization engages in its important work. Some of those key external drivers include a 35% decrease in community producer memberships between 2018 and 2022, an 83% decrease in the number of nonprofit hotline programs since 2019, rising use of video-rich platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and decreased cable subscriptions, resulting in both shrinking viewership and a 27% reduction in cable revenue, CAN TV's primary revenue stream. This trend has continued during the first quarter of CAN TV's current fiscal year, with cable revenue falling 32% lower than budgeted projections. Adding to these external factors are the lingering impacts of the global pandemic, which closed CAN TV studios to the public for nearly 4 months.
In response to the myriad external forces impacting the organization, beginning in March of 2021, CAN TV management, staff, and the board worked for more than 6 months to develop the roadmap for CAN TV's growth and development. It was a rigorous and collaborative process conducted under the challenging constraints of the pandemic. Together, we refined our mission statement and vision and made a commitment for CAN TV to become the leading peg locally and nationally. The key pillars of the plan include building community. Over the next 5 years, the number of content producers, both internal and external, will increase by 5% annually, and the age demographics will demonstrate an increase in youth engagement. Civic engagement. By 2025, CAN TV is a known place for elected officials to interact with their constituents, for policymakers to connect with the public, and for students, researchers, and the interested public to access viable civic education programming. Revenue diversification. By fiscal year 2025, CAN TV will sustain overall revenue at $3 million per year, while the ratio of non-cable income will increase from 1.5% to 3% of total annual revenue. Brand awareness and communication. By 2025, CAN-TV is highly valued within the Chicago and Illinois media, nonprofit, and public service industries and among the general public, and attracts large numbers of local viewers and users, supporters of the network services and programming. Training. By 2025, CAN-TV's training program attracts a wider diversity of voices, while demonstrating a 20% growth in engagement among individuals ages 18 to 30.
One of the things that made joining CAN-TV so attractive to me was the existence of an incredibly well-articulated and well-thought-out strategic plan. In the past year and a half, the board, staff, and I have been implementing that plan with demonstrable success. Key building community pillar successes include a new partnership with Chicago Public Schools that will provide full access to more than 30 CPS schools and more than 2,000 students and staff. CAN-TV has also launched new partnerships with Chicago Foundation for Women and Goodwill Industries. Key civic engagement successes thus far include the launch of CAN-TV's signature programs like Change Agents, Joy in the Breakthrough, The Table on Air, 3 Questions With, hosted by media legend Hugo, and the relaunch of Chicago Newsroom 2.0, hosted by one of the most respected leaders in Chicago, Andy Zopp. Directly following our weeknight signature program block on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays is the Graded 8 block, showcasing some of the incredible programs produced by community partners, including Taped with Rabbi Doug, Elevating Our Stories with Sylvia Ewing, and Cooking with Tittle with the legendary LaDonna Tittle. CAN-TV is also bringing the community together for powerful documentaries and town hall conversations like King and Gandhi, Unfinished Business, The Marginalized Working While Black, and the upcoming Trajectory of Hope, Stories of the West Side, and new partnerships with media organizations, including Latino News Network, the Citizen Newspaper Group, and the newly launched Medill Midwest Solutions Journalism Hub.
Key revenue diversification progress includes CAN-TV's 2023 budget represents the first year of revenue growth in more than 5 years, including growing contributor support by nearly $1 million year over year. In support of these revenue diversification efforts, the network will execute its first year-end annual appeal campaign and host its first ever gala fundraiser in November of this year. Key brand awareness and communication successes include the complete overhaul of CAN-TV's website, as well as the launch of 24/7 streaming available on the new cantv.org website and the CAN-TV Plus app available for download on Roku and Fire TV, as well as iPhone and Android devices. In just the first 3 months of 2023, live streaming of CAN-TV signature programs and specials exceeded 1.3 million views. Training successes include the naming of a new training department manager, as well as the hiring of 2 new full-time training coordinators, as well as the successful launch of the Youth Voice Digital Literacy and Storytelling Institute, a 10-week intensive currently serving the 3rd cohort of young people ages 16 to 24.
Well, we all can agree that change is necessary for the long-term health and sustainability of CAN-TV. Managing that change isn't always easy. Yet we agree on the means and method to achieve these milestones.
Throughout this process of growth and evolution, it has remained abundantly clear that the board, staff, and community producers deeply care about and are dedicated to CAN-TV's long-term success and its potential to be the nation's premier community television network.
Together, we are setting the stage for CAN-TV's next 40 years of incredible service and incredible success.
In the coming weeks and months, George, Darius, and I will reconvene around this very table to bring you updates on our progress as we continue on our collective journey towards CAN-TV's next 40 years of service to Chicago. In the meantime, thank you for your continued trust and support. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, your loved ones, and each other.